Do you want to know how to teach budgeting to young adults? I've raised a lot of young people into adulthood, and I can tell you a few things about that. I also teach parenting, good communication all over the world. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and in this video, we're talking about budgeting. Starting early at teaching budgeting is always best, but let's say you didn't. Maybe you didn't start early, then this video will help you. Even if you did start early or are starting early, I think you'll find some useful tips in this video for preparing your children to budget their money. We're going to be talking a little bit about the principles of budgeting and some key things that you can do in a certain order to help budgeting occur with your child. Budgeting is a self-government skill. I teach self-government. That's the name of this channel, is the Teaching Self-Government channel. That's the name of my podcast, the Teaching Self-Government podcast, and that's the name of my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. Am I a little bit concerned with people learning self-government? Oh yes, to say the least. Self-government is the principle of freedom. It's the principle of harmony, and it brings people together. It connects people because it makes it so that you're not looking outside of yourself for a solution to the problems that you have, but you're looking inside yourself. I hope you see how that definitely relates to budgeting your money or your time, any budgeting actually. So self-government, the definition is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So how do you teach a person self-government, and how do you do it with their money? There are 4 basic skills that I teach parents to teach their children. They're honestly just adult skills. Everyone needs to know these 4 basic skills, but they definitely apply to budgeting money. So first, let's talk about the 4 basic skills. The 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. So how do these 4 basic skills relate to budgeting? Well, if you have taught your children the 4 basic skills, whether when they were early or if you're just teaching them now, these will be your go-tos as you are teaching budgeting to the children. So when you use money in a way that you have planned to use it, when you stick to your budget, what are you doing? You are following instructions from yourself, or maybe from your budget. So you have to know how to follow instructions. There are 5 steps to following instructions that I teach in my TSG parenting course and in some of my parenting books about self-government. So be sure to see that, because you have to be able to give yourself an instruction and follow through to be self-governing. And when we think about money, if we say, okay, I'm going to pay this bill on this date, or I am going to make sure that the first thing I do with my money is this. Like in our family, we always tithe first on our money. So the first thing is to tithe. How much? This percentage. We always pay 10% in our family. That's just an instruction that we're going to follow through with without even thinking about it, because after a while of following an instruction, it becomes a habit. Now, I know when we're teaching our children about budgeting money, we want to instill good habits, but it starts first not as a habit. You can't just force someone to have a habit or give them a truth and have them go, boom, I just have a new habit. No, they have to practice at it. Just like giving yourself instructions for how you will spend your money is a habit that you develop over time. So this means that parents need to be patient as their children do make mistakes with their money. Don't take it personal, stay calm. Make sure that you know that their mistakes are something that you can feel okay about and help them move forward from, instead of getting stuck. If both of you get stuck because of one person's mistake, then you won't be able to mentor them into a forward direction. So what about these other skills? Accepting no answers. Well, if you're not going to buy that new dress because you don't have enough money, or you're not going to buy the new shoes or go to the movie because you don't have the money, that's essentially a no answer. So you have to give yourself a no answer. Now, if you're going to be debating a purchase, should I or shouldn't I go through with this purchase? That's where you might be disagreeing appropriately with yourself, or potentially with the budget. Maybe you allotted $25 for for money for food for the day, but now you've recognized you need to take your dad out for his birthday dinner. So instead, you're going to take some money from gifts or some money from clothes, and you're going to apply it to food. This is going to be a great way to disagree appropriately with yourself. So learn all the steps for disagreeing appropriately, learn all of the steps for accepting no answers. And then what about accepting consequences? It's not always going to go perfect with the budget. Sometimes things are going to get a little out of hand. Sometimes we're going to make mistakes. And sometimes we're going to do really well on our budget. Either way, whether we do well or we make mistakes, there will be consequences. We need to accept them, which means we calmly acknowledge that they happen and we move on. We suffer whatever consequences come our way, meaning we won't be able to buy that thing. We might have to take a bus instead of our car somewhere. Who knows what the consequence may be? We accept it optimistically and move on. So those 4 basic skills are going to be key. I'm going to share with you some key things that you can do in order to help your children learn how to budget their money as they're launching into adulthood. But first, do you see that subscribe button? That's for you. Go ahead and click it. Step number 1 for teaching about money is actually teaching those 4 basic skills. You don't have to teach those skills as they apply to money. You'll want to teach them as they apply to other things, which means that even if your child is really close to adulthood, they need to learn how to follow instructions, accept no answers, accept consequences from you, and disagree appropriately. When their brains are more fully developed, they learn these skills very quickly, and you should be able to help them apply them to life. There is a skill that I teach in my TSG parenting course, which is a problem-solving skill. This particular skill is called SODAs. You may also want to teach them how to do that skill in relation to their relationships and behaviors, because we're going to be using that particular practice later as they problem solve their money. After they learn the skills with you in the parent-child capacity, then you'll want to talk to them about how as they go into adulthood, they have to learn how to parent themselves, which means that these skills will be skills that they use for themselves. They'll even use the correction skill on themselves, the correction skill that you used to be using on them or are using on them. So give them a picture of adulthood and that it's coming and that they need to prepare to parent themselves along the way. The next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you list the priorities. What are their priorities that they have for their lives? So we're going to start big picture. What do you want to accomplish with your life? Do you want to go to a particular school? Do you want a particular job? How much money do you want to make? What do people normally make? Do you want a certain type of a car? Do you want to live in a certain type of a place? How do you want to dress? How do you want to eat? Do you want to eat out sometimes or never? Where are you at financially in your goals? Definitely list the priorities. So list all the things that they want to accomplish and then prioritize those things. Is school most important in order to get you to the job? Probably. Is eating kind of important? Yes, you're going to have money for food. Clothes is important, but after you have a certain amount of clothes, it's suddenly not as important anymore. Cleaning the clothes could be important. Do you see what I'm talking about? Have this really adult conversation where they get to see how all of the pieces of their future adult lives start to stack up with their financial concerns. And then help them determine what is their first priority. Is it school? Is it food? Is it housing? What's the first priority that they have? So order the priorities, 1 through how many? 1 being the top priority. Don't forget to add into the priorities ways for the children to do something good for somebody else. Because one way to ruin a budget and to get somebody totally money hungry for their lives is to never do anything good with their money. That's why in our family, we created the habit of teaching our children when they were very young to give 10% of their money to God. We also then taught them to give 10% of their money to themselves for saving. And then after that, to use the rest of that money for whatever other expenses that they had. But the more money they could save, the better off they would be. So be sure to teach your children that too. They need to pay themselves. Pay the Lord. Do something to give money back to goodness, right? Maybe it's a humanitarian thing that you're investing in, but always give some of your money away first. Then give some of your money to yourself for the future. Then budget the rest of your money. That helps the children know how much money they really need. It also gives them a little bit of a buffer for in case hard times come, they will have some money there to help them out. You may want to have 2 different savings, one long-term savings and one short-term savings. That's what I taught my children to do. So in their bank account, they had a tithing account, a long-term savings account, and a short-term savings account. Then they had their regular savings or checking account. They only budgeted for their expenses out of the regular savings or checking account. Those other accounts were never touched until it was time for whatever they were saving for. There is a scripture in Proverbs that says, without vision, the people perish. Well, without vision, your child perishes. They have to keep seeing the long view for their lives. If they just get caught up in the stuff, the here and the now, they will not succeed ultimately. They will never have enough money. Here's the thing. Most people can live on whatever their means are. It's just how they budget it. They might only make $10 an hour. They can figure out how to live on $10 an hour. My dad used to always say, live below your means. Don't live all the way up to your means, always below your means. Then you have a safety net. We tried to teach our children the same way, which meant that we didn't nurture super expensive tastes. I remember there was a time when we went to our local thrift store, think Goodwill or something like that, to buy things, where we would say to the children, okay, well, let's go see if we can find a way to meet that need for your clothes at this thrift store, instead of going to this big time expensive name brand store. Now, could we afford some of those higher ticket items? Yeah, most of the time we could. Sometimes at different phases of our marriage, we maybe couldn't. Most of the time we could, but we wanted to teach our children to be scrappy. We wanted to teach them, you don't have to have the newest in order to find the best for you. You just need to take care of your things and find things that will work for you. So we taught them how to care for items, how to budget for items, and how to find items in surprising ways so that they didn't have to spend as much money. This actually is a great skill for life. It's a principle. It's called being thrifty. Thrifty people usually do a great job at starting businesses and leading other people because they can stick to a budget. Probably one of the biggest tips that I could tell you is don't pick up the slack for them. If they make their budget and they fail on it, don't pick up the slack. Don't just give them money. Make them have to ask for it. And then, of course, if it's super important, then you will, but they have to pay you back. That's important. They need to take responsibility for the finances. If you bail them out too many times, especially without asking, they will not see their finances as their responsibility. Super important. If you want to get your child motivated to save money and to budget better, maybe there is one thing you could throw out there as a candy. I know people that have done this and it's been effective. I don't know if it's been effective for everyone, but I do know some circumstances where it has been effective. So I'm going to share this with you. Some parents will say to their children, I see you're struggling with the budgeting. Let's do the priorities. Let's talk about accepting no answers following instructions. Let's work on this. And then let's set a positive consequence. Maybe we're going to go on this trip. Maybe we're going to go to Hawaii. Maybe we're going to go to this national park we've always wanted to see. Or maybe there's a certain outfit or a game or an experience that we want to have or do. Maybe we're going to jump out of an airplane and go skydiving. That's expensive stuff. If you can live within your budget for a certain period of time. So maybe through the school year or something. We keep track of how well a person is doing at living in their budget, and if they make mistakes, suffering through the consequences. And then we have a positive afterward that shows them when you live according to your budget, then you end up having more positive, more freedom in life later. That's what that lesson teaches. There is something I teach called a SOTAS exercise. This teaches problem solving. This is going to be something you're going to want to use with your children to help them figure out their priorities and figure out when and how to give themselves no answers. So in my book, Parenting a House United, I teach this. I also have a SOTA's journal. You can find both of these things on the website teachingselfgovernment.com. A SOTA's exercise is an acronym. It stands for Situation, Options, Disadvantages, Advantages, Solution. I have a video on this website all about teaching children problem solving. So find that video, you'll learn more about the SOTA's exercises. But the basic truths that the SOTA's exercise teaches the children is it teaches them, why do I keep making that choice? Maybe it's with money, maybe it's with friends, whatever it is. Why do I keep making that choice? What are the advantages? And what are the disadvantages that I'm not seeing? Or maybe what are the advantages to that other choice that I know are better for me that I need to focus on so that I start to make a better choice for myself with my money and with everything else. So be sure to learn about the SOTA's exercises too, because those will definitely help you. If you want to learn more about teaching self-government, then the next video I have for you will definitely help. It's called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. Click on the link to that video now. I'll see you there.